Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Saturday morning, which is happened to be the last day of the month, 30th November 2024, 11 a.m. Malaysian time. Today's theme is actually about month of nourishment. We shall see why is it called month of nourishment later, according to the 5 elements energy and the I Ching hexagram of the month for November 2024 forecast. So this is a platform where we apply both Chinese astrology and trend research. Chinese astrology by me, and then trend research by our PC Wong, who is a seasoned investor and also a book author of many investment books, notably Invest in Foreign Share, to focus on economy, financial, geopolitical events to help you to make better investment decisions. So all these are based on studies, okay, from 2 branch of knowledge. Therefore, normally we can get quite good accuracy so far, right? From what we have forecasted. We have been in this platform. We started this platform in July 2022. Okay, today, I think today is our 32 episode already, right? And thank you for all the members that has been with us for many years. I think ever since we started, I think from Augustine, Wing, they have been our members. Some of y'all that are Mitra that have been our members for 2 years plus. So the top agenda, as usual, we will start with introduction. As I introduced, disclaimer, a brief recap of last month's forecast. Very interesting month we have on last month, November, especially the US election results. And then the influence of 5 elements energy in December 2024 is also a very exciting month in December 2024, and follow it will go into the next year, 2025. So, and also December 2024 geopolitics, financial and forecast, and also summary by me and PC on what to expect on the coming months. Okay. The disclaimer here, the content that we have here is purely based on our studies, our knowledge in the global trends related to 5 elements energy, and also global trend research for you to use as a guideline in your investment decision. We know that sometimes the trend could be not 100% correlated to the trends that we are seeing. Like for example, we see, some negative trend, but sometimes the market still act positively. Okay, so there is a slight off correlation. I would say that it's only 70 to 80%, but at least, it will give you the trend, the future trend of what is to expect. Sooner or later, if it does not fall into trend, things will happen. It's just that you have to be patient. Those who want to invest, please be patient now. Exercise caution in your investment, especially in such volatile situation. Do your research on the company you want to invest. We will not give any stock advice. Additional support for our members will be through emails or addressed in our members' Telegram group. Okay, so our intention here that when we go through different countries, our intention, we are very partial. We just look at, what the news says, what the energy says about the country, and we have nothing against any country at all. Yeah. For those who, I think most of you all already know us, we have started, this platform 2 years ago, as I say, and then we have written a book on period 9, the first 5 years. I think most of you all have bought and supported the book. Thank you very much. And also, we also have written 3 books related to astrology and global trends in Water Rabbit year, which was 2023, the forecast, 2024 and 2025. So far, we have done a pretty good job. At least about 80% of what we say in the books does happens. Okay?
Yeah, I would like to add, Evelyn, maybe you can go back to the earlier slide.
Okay.
For those who are new, our book, Unlock Your Wealth Potential, is now still available in Shopee. Yeah? So you can search for the book in Shopee. And I think we have garnered close to about 18 5-star ratings on our book. And many of the things that we predicted there are already in motion. Okay. Things especially related to the technology sector. So, Evelyn, back to you.
Okay, yes, that's right. So you can check on the book, even the energy sector and also some of the commodities also already happened. It happened faster than what we have this one. We have predicted also some of them, right? BC.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a recap on November 2024 itself. In November 2024, I says that many leaders will make policies that could cause even more damage. Okay, there will be not only damage, but actually there will be a lot of leaders like having unrest that causes policy to change all the time and also causes a lot of drama in the geopolitical scenes. And then we have also accelerated development in AI, okay, such as AI agent now. I think this is going to replace a lot of jobs, especially those in calling, okay? And also rapid economic growth that exacerbate income inequalities. It started to see, we talk about period 9, the liquid, the top and bottom. So it will start to separate out. The poor become poorer, the rich become richer. Okay. And then there are more jobs displacement, especially the last 2 months. Even in Penang, we can feel it as well. Very sorry for that. And also there are some like volcano eruption, fire-related incident. And another one actually I missed out is the Sunqua's effect or the Woods effect of hurricanes and typhoon, which we have freaky typhoons and hurricanes everywhere in US as well. So whenever you see wood in this month, and because of this year also, this year will have a lot of hurricanes or freaky wind-related incidents as well. Okay. Yeah, we are very honest. We miss out also we say. Okay, so refer to okay, a lot of people ask me, even since beginning of I think since Trump and Kamala Harris, since half a year ago, that who will win the election. So based on the forecast, even at the beginning of the year, I think in the June, we talk about the period 9 course. Some of them attended the period 9 course. We also, make a prediction that Trump will win. Even Augustine also talked to me that, Trump will win as well. And yeah, I say that there's high chances because based on the party, based on the supporting factors, that Trump will win the elections, and also based on this year's energy, which is the 7K for him, that he see his 7K star. That's why he won the election this year. If it's next year, then it will be a different things altogether. So it's actually a factor of your internal party and also external what is available for you. These two things that makes up an incident, an event. If you all want to learn all this Chinese astrology. So we have already forecast that in our August 2024 forecast. I make a very detailed forecast as well. You can go and check out that video. Those are in my Telegram group. I posted that video as well. It's actually posted in end of mid of August, I think 2024 for the public. So you can go and watch that video again. Based on our members' request. And actually, I went to Canada and I met up with one of my friends here, Rosie, and she also asked me. Now she also feedback to me that I said Trump will win. Unfortunately, it really happens. Okay, much that maybe some of us do not like him in certain ways. Yeah, and also there are many many leaders that make policy that could cause more damage. So there are mass attacks also in China recently happened. I think there's one gunman or something that shoots down right in Shenzhen. A concern, a censorship and fear of outrage and repression in China that happens also recently. And also this one, thanks to our friend Anthony, that yesterday he fed me with this information that also there's a lot of drama in the political scenes between the Philippines politics, okay, between Sara and also President Fernando Marcos as well. Okay, so it's also another drama there. And in terms of AI technology, once again, I think this whole year is already all about AI itself. even the Nobel Prize winner is also about AI related things, where one of the neurophysicists he won the Nobel Prize in Sweden recently. So right now we have AI agent. AI agent means that you have operator AI agent that that can autonomously take control of your computer to perform simple tasks. And also there are AI agents that even can call as well. Okay, so these are some very big things. If you have not explored Google Notebook LM, you can also go and explore that. It's very, very interesting as well. Okay, so it has, it can turn a book into a podcast. It's
Yeah.
like magic.
Another thing is that for those who sign up for our investment talk middle of this year, we actually share some shares in some stocks companies, what they are doing, and I think two of them have done pretty well, especially in the sphere of AI, software as a service, as well as quantum computing.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. I also own one of them, I think. Yeah. Okay. So, and then next one is natural disasters. It was hurricanes, I say, because the wood is there. Okay. And together with the Xinhua is there for those that have more knowledge in Chinese astrology. And also actually there are also volcano eruption as forecasted in Iceland that there are quite a couple of them that I scanned through the news that looking into it as well. And job cuts happens in tech layoff, especially when these companies start to adopt AI. So they have quite a number of massive layoff as well.
Now, interestingly about Ford, since you put an article here, anyone read the comment by the Ford CEO or not? Apparently, he imported the Xiaomi SU7 to the US, and he said that the Chinese technology is so far ahead, and that he has been driving it for 6 months, and none other car that he has drove or come close to beating it. So a very interesting comment from the CEO himself, who doesn't drive a Ford but Xiaomi.
Wow. Okay. Maybe he's going to have a stake in Xiaomi. Good. That's why he says Xiaomi is so good.
Yeah, I think we have been harping about Xiaomi since 2023.
Yes, that's right. Those who bought that, below 19, then you will have, some profit already. Okay. So we really see ahead one. Where we can, okay. This is still forecasting, disclaimer, we are not gods, Okay, so in month December's energy, actually in month December is very interesting. I can tell you that Augustine likes to hear that. Year pillar is Jiachen, month pillar is Bingzi, and then the transition of the month energy, the day pillar is Jiachen again, and the hour pillar is Bingzi. It's double fuyin, means that. And when we have, we already have pillar repeating itself, it could mean that, some set events that's going to happen in this Bingzi month. Bingzi month means that in December month. Okay, then the water is also strong because we already have those who have some fundamentals in Chinese astrology. You can see that even you don't have, it's okay. I will just explain a bit. So in terms of dragon and the rat, and then you just need another monkey to pull in. It will pull in the whole water. Okay, the whole water means that it's going to be a cold, wet condition. Potentially there could be heavy snow or flooding, frosting in the cold countries. So those who stay in cold countries, I think especially in Toronto recently also we see like also snowing, right? I do not know about Niagara's. Maybe Niagara's and the south part is better. Okay. And also high risk of water related disasters, potential earthquakes also from soil instability. We know that the Chen, the soil here and the mountain here, the energy has been already clashed since the dog month. Luckily, the dog month nothing happened because I you could not foresee big incidents happen, not like the one in the Dragon month in April where I predicted earthquake, because I could not really see the indication of major things happening, but I'm still, internally it's already unstable. Okay, and then there is some like logistic tech speculative markets also in December. Okay, and then market volatility might experience instability due to policy uncertainties. So you need to be very conservative in your investment. Okay, yeah. So if you feel that you can just profit take, you profit take. If you want to trade, then it's okay, because we are not expert in traders. Yeah. And so in December hexagram, besides that, it's also a very dangerous hexagram. It's called nourishment. You know why it's nourishment? Later on, I show you. This is a very interesting, another interesting hexagram. That the picture of it here. Okay, so you can see here is like a mouth. Then here, all these are like a row of teeth. So trying to nourish, trying to eat something. Okay, but in actual fact, if I split this into two, this is actually a mountain. This is actually a thunder. Okay, so thunder underneath, everything is hidden underneath.
Probably
Okay.
the mouth and teeth will eat up your investment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. If you're not careful. Okay, since you all today are in this platform already, then you all roughly will know what is going on. Not like, just speculate like that, because we know that stock market has turned into casino in some ways. We already talk about that. Okay, so yeah. So we have like imbalance. What will happen is that we will have like imbalance in the we will have imbalance in the food security or in water resources. Okay, and then focus on treaties and policies that encourage sustainability, and also innovations might look into the renewable energy as well in the renewable energy sectors. Okay, yeah, so this is the hexagram for December 24th. And I think over to you, PC. Would you like to share the screen?
If you find this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more valuable insights and updates. By subscribing, you will be the first to know when I post new content.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Hold on. Let me. Okay, so for the month of November, well, we forecast that chaos could erupt upon Trump's win, given the animosity between the Democrats and Republicans. But thankfully, there was none. Although right now there are indications that the current administration would want to throw chaos in the global stage, okay, to pass the problem to Trump. As you all might have read, Biden has approved the usage of US long distance missile to attack deep into Russia territory, and Russia has retaliated. So this would actually bring more chaos on the international stage, and it could give a problem to Trump, because Trump is trying to make friends with Russia, because ultimately his focus is to contain China. So that is in certain ways it is giving a lot of problems, pass the problems to Trump, to the new admin, because so that the problem with the U.S. U.S. election is that whoever who has lost the elections, normally they will create more problems to pass to the next. So that is why they are constantly solving problems, but never really moving ahead in making a lot of development within the country, and it's all about how to maintain their the US status quo as the global leader, even though their resources, especially monetary resources, is depleting and need to be sustained through numerous debt issue. So that is one of the problem. Chaos is passed on to the next administration, so that the fire constantly is spreading, and everyone is spending resources to fight the fire. So we highlighted the possibility that the Fed may cut deeper than 25 basis points given the unemployment situation. If you all recall, the BLS or the BS of payroll, because most of all the bid in the jobs report have always been revised lower. And I highlighted the problem that they actually reduced down by almost 1 million jobs over the span of 1 year. So that could, and also the unemployment has spiked above 4%. So I was thinking that the Fed could surprise by a deeper cut, but then that did not happen. So rather, the Fed cautioned that its policy will be data dependent, given the recent surge in inflation. Of course, inflation will continue to go up because of all the money printing. Now, the inflation report is always manipulated. Okay, here in the report, they say that it was mentioned that insurance, the cost of insurance rose by about 3% or a few percent. But then people who are in the insurance industry are saying that insurance actually rose about 30% in a year. So it is all being kept down, and the CPI report sometimes is not very accurate, because somehow I find that it is being engineered, okay, to enable a rate cut to be made. So where we got right, now Trump won the election with a landslide as predicted. Okay, luckily there were no untoward incident. Although the day that he won, I think there was some sort of a riot here or there, but it's all very small scale. So although gold came under selling pressure in November, it did not hide the fact that many investors are seeking gold as a safe refuge amid the geopolitical tension in the usual hotspots and mounting debt crisis assailing the US. Now, gold actually was hammered for almost 3 weeks in November as soon as Trump won. Mainly because, not because people are saying that there's no more fear of geopolitical tension, but rather because at the start of November, many of the bullion banks are sitting on a net paper loss of more than $70 billion in gold. That means they were actually massively short. Now, at the same time, gold price has been trending up. So what they did, the bullion banks actually started a massive selling to force a lot of liquidation. Now, sometimes you must know that on one side, there are the bullion banks that sells, okay? The other side will be the speculators who buy. Now, all these are actually paper gold, okay? Nothing to do with physical gold. So the paper gold is being manipulated in such a way by both the COMEX and LBMA, so that the COMEX keep on pressuring the selling to enable them to escape the net short position, because when they massively sell, it creates a cascading effect. So that's when the speculators will actually liquidate, causing further depression in the price, and therefore the bullion banks then can start to exit their shorts. But to date, even though out of the 70 billion, I think based on the latest COT report, the bullion banks are still net short by about $50 billion in paper losses. So it didn't do a lot of elevation of their net paper loss, but rather gold now has been trending up again. Now, another reason why they want to force the price of gold down was that many of them went massively short the bullion banks, where the price was 2,550, according to some analysts. So what happened was that December is the delivery month of physical gold. So when they went short at 2,550, they need to cover it. But unfortunately, I think, now is in the delivery period. I think some of the banks could be hit. Okay, but then you can see that the bullion banks always, when gold is rising, they want to short sell silver. Okay, and when silver is rising, they try to short sell gold. And another reason why gold mining companies in Canada, in US are not performing, I think, is because a lot of the custodian of the ETFs, physical gold custodian via the ETFs, they do not have that physical gold. And therefore, in order to prevent the euphoria about gold, is to depress the miners. So that's why I think if the miners are being depressed, then the price of gold will be depressed as well. But then that did not happen. So that's why I think the gold mining companies are not performing, because there's no massive influx of funds into those ETFs, especially the gold mining ETFs. Now, in Europe, we highlighted that France could face a potential financial crisis, and France borrowing cost just surged to 2.7%, much higher than Greece, 2.5%. The thing is that Greece was the country that went into a debt crisis in 2012. And right now, even Greece borrowing cost is better than France. And that could actually herald a funding problem for the French government. And looking at things, I think the French economy will soon be moving towards Germany's style of decrease in economic activities, because the French government have also lost their supply of key resources from Western African nations after the former colonies rebelled against the French government for their interference in the country. So much so that you may not know, but then it is the French central bank that issues currencies for the Western African countries. So right now they are rebelling and saying that, we do not want to have anything to do with France, and therefore they pull a lot of the resources contracts with French companies in the region. And France actually lost a huge supply of uranium from Niger. The other thing is that Germany industries are collapsing, and its total unemployment has risen to 2.9 million, the highest since 2016. So you can see that the EU 27 countries, you can see that their economies are, after reaching a peak in 2022, they are now deteriorating. And Germany is even much faster, because Germany has often relied on cheap Russian gas for its deindustrialization. Now that they no longer have access to the cheap gas, they are no longer competitive. Okay, and that is why Germany is tumbling very fast. The other thing is that they have a very poor government, okay, consisting of different parties, each having their own philosophy of how things are being done, and therefore there were a lot of contradictions, okay, especially from the foreign minister, the 360-degree PBOC, okay, and the foreign minister as the other thing is that the chancellor shouts, okay, he cannot decide on whether to do this or that. So that's why German is decelerating very fast. And the other thing is that previously Germany has a lot of industries in China that actually made money because of the demand for automobiles. But right now, China is beating the other German car makers. So that is why many of the German car makers are finding it very tough. Many of their net profit have fallen by huge double digits. And not only that, even Japanese car manufacturers are seeing their market share being destroyed, as well as South Korean cars in China. And Volkswagen recently announced that they will close 3 plants, and that would actually result in more layoffs. And I think the other thing that's coming later when I show the slide is the winter season, okay, which could herald even more inflation. So as predicted, the UK government led by Starmer popularity has fallen to a new low, and there is now calls for a new election. So his popularity is now negative 38 points. Okay, that's how much people hated him. Okay, and right now there are 1 million signatures to call for a new elections. So, and we highlighted the possibility that the talks between the EU and China could stall. Okay, so the talk between Europe and China stalled initially. Okay, and that was published in 13 November. But lately, cooler heads has prevailed, and there is an amicable solution is possibility in sight. Sorry, the sentence is because I was writing this last night. Okay, and so sometimes my train of thought. Okay, so China and EU reportedly nearing a solution over Chinese EV tariffs. Now that is after China retaliated against France and Spain. And mostly it relates to France because of the wine and spirits business. And that is also the reason why LVMH share price actually fell by almost 30% lately. China's retaliation, and its wine and spirit business actually fell by 11%. And LVMH is just one of those. Okay, there are others wine and spirits companies in France that are hit. Okay, and China also retaliated against Spain, saying that they could actually investigate the dumping of the French Iberico into China. And I think Spain eventually abstained from voting for a tariff. But France is being impacted. France voted for the tariff. And therefore, right now, they want to talk to reach an amicable solution. And in China, the MPC approved approximately 1.4 trillion in stimulus in line with forecasts, but was considered underwhelming by many investors. Thus, after the surge in late October, the Chinese stock market fell amid a wave of profit-taking. Now, initially, the stimulus got a lot of hype, and many people were expecting that the stimulus were aimed to boost the stock market. But it did not happen, okay? And as expected, many of the incentives were geared towards boosting the real estate market, not the stock market. And even though many of the property and construction-related stocks rose initially, many have given back their gains due to profit-taking and general disappointment that there were no follow-through stimulus. So the investors' mindset is that they will come up something like what the US and Europe did, okay, like Draghi is so popular of saying whatever, what was his term? Whatever it takes, okay, and issue a lot of bazooka stimulus to boost the stock market. The same was in US when during the repo crisis, the US stock market dropped, and then Trump got together the NY Fed plunge protection team, the US banks and investment houses and US Treasury, and then they started to buy the indexes, the S&P indexes, so that it forced the stock market to go up. And therefore, the US stock market since then have been going up steadily. That is because of the huge buying that is being done by the plunge protection team. But China, although have a national investment team, but they do not act like the plunge protection team. Okay, they only invest to when the market is weak, but they will also take profit. Okay, because it is still an investment company. They don't have things like the plunge protection team, which will continue to boost the indices by buying those indices related ETFs. Just like what the BOJ did, okay, the BOJ is one of the biggest owner of Japanese ETFs, but it helped boost the Japanese stock market. But China is a different make altogether, because they want to see the effect of helping a sector so that the trickle effect would move to other sectors as well. So we highlighted that the trade-in policy for electronics and incentives given to boost consumption will benefit many companies, and China retail sales grew 4.2% year-on-year in October versus just 3.2% year-on-year in September, and was better than August, which was at 2.1%. We also highlighted that China's sales of NEVs will continue to rise. In October, NEV sales surged 49.6% year-on-year in October. As expected, China's inflation edged up a notch to 0.3% year-on-year in October. Now, let's look at the US economic indicators. GDP rose 2.8% in Q3. CPI rose 0.2% month-on-month in October. Year-on-year, it grew 2.6%, up from 2.4% in September. I think in our past few months, we have highlighted that inflation would surge again in the US, mainly because of the rising debt, okay, that the immense debt that the US keep on issuing will eventually be inflationary. So core CPI rose 0.3% month-on-month in October. Year-on-year, it's unchanged from September. So PPI rose 0.2% month-on-month in September, year-on-year, it gained 2.4%, up from 1.9% in September. So you can see that even the PPI is moving up. Now, in particular, because there are certain resources that are also getting expensive. So retail sales rose 0.4% month-on-month in October. Year-on-year, it gained 2.8%. Net retail sales less CPI was 0.2%. So this, I think, is the first time in many, many months that the net retail sales less CPI was in positive territory. So industrial production fell 0.3% month-on-month in October. Year-on-year, it fell 0.3%, down from 0.5% in September. The National Association of Home Builders Index came in at 46 in November, up from 43 in October, but it still remained in contraction. Housing starts fell 0.1% month-on-month in October, while housing permits fell 0.6%. So existing home sales rose 3.4% month-on-month in October. Year-on-year, it rose 2.9%. Now, one of the reasons why existing home sales rose is, if you remember some of our presentation about 2 to 3 months ago, we were already highlighting that the existing homes that are being sold has been steadily increasing. The number of homes that are listed for selling, okay, in the US has steadily been increasing. And because of the intense competition, some second-hand homes, okay, or existing homes have seen that the owners are reducing prices to get out of the real estate market, mainly because a few things. Some of them are Airbnb type of investment, and due to the higher cost of maintenance, higher cost of property taxes, higher cost of insurance, many owners are selling their real estate because the property taxes in the US have risen, home insurance have also risen, and therefore the cost of maintaining a home has actually increased. So that was one of the reasons why I think many owners now want to exit the market, and they are competing with each other to give some incentives by lowering the price. Okay, and that is why existing home sales rose. But if we look at it, new home sales collapsed 17.3% month-on-month in October, and year-on-year it fell 9.4%. Although this is not conclusive, it may have a lot to do with the hurricane season over the last month. Because of the hurricane, many people abstained from buying any new homes. So durable goods orders rose 0.2% month-on-month in October. Year-on-year, it rose 5.3%. Now, October preliminary PMI for manufacturing came in at 48.8, while PMI for services came in at 57.0. So here it goes to show that the US manufacturing has been constantly in contraction, mainly because the US is more of a consumption economy driven by services. So unemployment rate was 4.1%, and this 4.1% is actually been pretty consistent over the past few months. And that could signal that unless it goes down, then it could be a signal that unemployment rate could steadily climb from here. Now, the leading economic indicator, the Conference Board Leading Economic Indicator Index, fell 0.4% month-on-month in October, following a 0.3% decline in September, which was revised up from a 0.5% decline. Over the 6-month period between April and October 2024, the LEI fell by 2.2%, slightly more than its 2% decline over the previous period, 6-month period of October 2023 to April 2024. However, the Conference Board believes that we are no longer facing an impending recession, okay? Because if we look at it, whenever it's in steep decline, there is a recession. So here they think that it's on the rise, and therefore the chances of a recession has been greatly reduced. But if we look at it, how was the chances of a recession being reduced is mainly because the government is spending tremendous amount of debt. Okay, in fact, one of the biggest gainers of jobs in 2024 was government employees. So what the government did, okay, create a lot of jobs, use the debt to pay for the salaries, and with the salaries, they consume, okay, the products, goods, and services in the US. So overall, for the full year of 2024, the US fiscal year runs from October of the preceding year to September of the current year. So total revenue was 4.92 trillion, total spending was 6.75 trillion, and total budget deficit for the fiscal year 2024 was 1.83 trillion, which is 33.1% of the revenue. Year to date, US government debt is 36.1 trillion. In fact, some analysts and economists have worked out a 3-month chart, that they say that every 3 months, the US debt could increase by 1 trillion, okay, 90 to 100 days to be precise. So annualized interest rate payment on debt is 1.117 trillion, which is 22.7% of the revenue. So imagine that, whatever revenue it gets, almost a quarter would actually go to pay for interest rate. Now, the other thing is that the US government need to refinance 7 trillion of debt in 2025 at an increased rate of 4% at more than $280 billion per year. And this 7 trillion, there's no way out of it. They have to refinance it because the US can never repay the principal sum. If they have been able to repay the principal sum, the US debt would actually decline. But it has never paid the principal sum, and whatever debt there is remaining is being refinanced. So that is why at 280 billion per year, that would be added to the annualized interest payment, then we would be close to about 1.4 trillion in interest payment for 2025. Now, since the US can never repay its principal debt, the US 7 trillion will be added to the national debt. But due to the ongoing budget deficit of almost 2 trillion, the US debt may increase as much as 9 trillion to 10 trillion in 2025. Okay, because here it already shows that the US have a budget deficit of 1.83. Okay, so if we added this 1.83 to 7 trillion plus the added new interest on debt, then we could see that hitting in 2025. And Trump wants to cut taxes, okay, when he resumes his presidency. So if Trump decides to cut taxes, then the revenue would take a hit. And as a percentage of GDP, of debt over GDP, we could see further increase. Now, let's look at a bit of Trump's policy based on his speeches and his interviews. So Trump wants to unburden the people and companies to drive consumption and expansion via tax cuts. And of course, this will dampen the government's tax revenue. And Trump wants to implement tariffs on China and Europe, and this will add to the inflationary pressure, ensuring that interest rates will remain high. Now, Trump plans to bring back manufacturing to the US by making it cheaper for exporters to manufacture their products in the US. Therefore, the reason for the tariffs. So Trump wants to push the exporters that instead of exporting to the US, why not set up shop in the US? But the US does not have the infrastructure nor the talent to establish first-in-class manufacturing. And that is very prevalent when a lot of the, like TSMC started their new plants in Arizona. So what they did was that the workers weren't as good. So they brought in a lot of Taiwanese, okay, into Arizona. So what happened is that, of course, they are also controlled. The workers in the US are subject to certain restrictions. For example, they are unwilling to work long hours. So, but the Taiwanese are willing to work long hours. So what happened was that right now there is a class action suit against TSMC for favoring Taiwanese, okay, because the locals see the preference that the Taiwanese are taking up the positions which they think they are entitled. So when you do not have that kind of working discipline, okay, like TSMC have administered in Taiwan, it doesn't work in the US. So a lot of the exporters, okay, that wants to come to the US will actually find it challenging. Another thing is that even if Chinese exporters want to set up shop in the US, but due to the narrative of China taking away American jobs and so forth, there will be strong anti-China sentiment. And part of the thing is that the US does not have that kind of infrastructure, okay, like China has. And therefore, a lot of the movement of goods will be impacted. Just to share with you that recently at Long Beach, there was a union that was against certain regulations. Okay, they say that if they do not get their way, no goods will actually come through the Long Beach port. So imagine if the US wants to make the port into a AI-driven and devoid of mass numbers of workers. This could not happen, okay, because the union is very strong, okay, and they would forbid that their jobs be put at risk, okay. So that is why the modernization of US ports is not there. And they still rely on manual labor to haul the containers and the crane operators to move the containers. But in China, and recently they did the same in a port in Peru, everything is automated, okay, with AI. So I don't see that happening in the US because of the strong union movements, and this will actually impede the modernization process. And Trump suggested during his campaign to cap the credit card interest rate to 10%. Now, this is definitely unattainable. The interest rate is determined by market forces, not on a government's whim. Any forced legislation will pull the access to credit from most Americans because the banks say, okay, we will only lend to those people with very clean sheets of credit score, and those that doesn't meet the clean sheet, sorry, okay, you are just not eligible for the credit. So this will actually reduce consumption, okay. So Trump wants to make peace with Russia but wants to contain China. He has surrounded his cabinet with anti-China hawks. I expect intensifying of economic and financial warfare between the US and China. Now, Trump will force the repatriation of undocumented immigrants from the US. I expect more violence in cities with high immigrant population because many of them, unfortunately, some of them are gang members and they have already overtaken some apartments that Americans own. Okay, so much so that I think to force them out, definitely there'll be some violent clashes. Let's talk about the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, as Musk like to name it, in preference for the crypto coins that he owns, okay? And it won't work because of the following. Now, it is not an official government agency. It can only advise the Trump admin of cost-cutting measures. The Trump admin cannot implement the changes without the support of Congress. Now, due to the pervasive corruption in Washington, members of Congress will not vote in favor of cost-cutting measures if the outcome destroys their voting base. Now, assuming if, let's say, Musk has been saying that Boeing overcharges. So Musk say, okay, we need to cut Boeing's charges and so forth. Now, Boeing could actually lobby, okay, in Washington and say that if they do not get their way, then they will actually shut down their plants in certain states. And because of that, it will destroy the members of Congress.
In a world where market trends are as mysterious as the stars, investors seek clarity beyond the chaos. Meet Evelyn Tan, a Chinese astrologist, and her co-founder, Wong, an investment guru, where ancient wisdom meets modern market trend research. Experience investment forecasting refined by Chinese astrology. Join top investors who trust their precise insights for their most crucial decisions. Ready to transform your investments? Join now for exclusive insights and forecasts brought to you by Astrology and Global Trends.
Will actually have a voting base in that particular base, in that particular state, due to them working for Boeing. So this will actually this will actually prevent real tangible cost-cutting measures from being implemented. Members of the public who will be affected by the cost-cutting measures will also protest against the removal of their bread and butter. Now, I expect the main beneficiaries of the largesse from the US corporations to voice their disapproval against the cost-cutting measures. So there are a lot of politicking involved, but it is not a government agency. So therefore, I think it's a very, very huge challenge. And because of that, US debt will continue to roll. Now, what could happen in December? US economic US economy will be weak in December due to surging inflation. Big ticket items will require financing are showing signs of weakness. For example, Ford is laying off workers, okay, and housing, new home sales is being impacted. And right now, the credit card interest rate has surged to a new record high in the US. So that is in response to higher inflation. Okay, US debt will continue to grow at a steady pace and interest payment on debt will continue to inch higher. Fed has become data dependent and the next cut will hinge on how is the inflation tracking, whether it's still up or has it been maintained. Now, if let's say it has been maintained, then the chances of a cut is higher. But I still believe that the Fed will find reasons to support a cut. And that means there will be some manipulation of data, okay? Because if not, then the US interest payment on debt will continue to rise. The Fed would very much like to bring the interest rate down to about 3%, okay? But if let's say that the US inflation remains high, the Fed will be forced to keep interest rate high and therefore hurt the US debt service payment. So I think that somehow or other, likelihood the Fed will look at a cut or reasons to support a cut. So Biden admin may escalate global tension as a farewell gift for the new admin under Trump. That is the reason why each administration often sabotage each other. Okay, and that is also the reason why every 4 years, new administration will always be fighting a fire. Okay, they will never be able to stop the fire because they are not in line for the long-term development of the US, but they are looking at short-term popularity over a 4-year period. Now, the Buffett indicator, which measures the valuation of the S&P versus GDP, is now at 208%. Now, this is 66% above the historical trend line. Money market funds saw a net outflow of 22.2 billion, which is the largest since June. There is more than 6 trillion, closer to about 6.5 trillion sitting in the money market funds. Now, this could signal a move from the money market to the stock or crypto market, providing the impetus for more speculation. But as Evelyn said, there must be some caution. Insiders have been dumping shares at an accelerated pace. Now, this is how much insiders in this line here has been dumping their shares. Okay, and they are not buying at these elevated levels. They are taking their profit, okay, because many of the top management have share options, and therefore they are quickly dumping into record territory. Now, retail call options are at the highest on record, and these are warning signs. Okay, retail call options have been staggering. Okay, so that goes to show that it is like the retailers who are playing the market. Okay, and that is why it has become a casino. No doubt many fund managers or managed funds are also invested in, but they are so focused on the Magnificent Seven, okay, and new AI stocks, AI related stocks. But a lot of the valuation have actually gone through the roof, and many still believe that, okay, they are buying something into the future. So I believe that speculation will continue, okay, until it can't. And that is when the fundamentals will enforce discipline on the market. It's just that we have not approached that yet because everyone is in a euphoria stage, be it crypto or the stock market. So if you are a trader, you can ride, okay? But if you are a long-term investor, sometimes as the market progress, you know, you can actually take a little bit of profit here and there. Now, US stocks are very good in that kind of situation because there's no minimum purchase, okay? It's always singular unit, okay? So for example, I own a stock which has gained about 130%. It is an AI stock, okay? I start to sell by batches of 25 and 25 here, 25 there at different levels. And then I roll that back into some undervalued stocks. So, but if you are a trader, you know, you can always do technical analysis and benefit from the few percentage jumps. So economic indicators for Europe, Euro area CPI came in at 2% year-on-year in October, down from 1.7% in September. UK CPI came in at 2.3% year-on-year in October, down from 1.7% in September. Euro area retail sales came in at 2.9% year-on-year in September, up from 2.4% in August. UK retail sales came in at 2.4% year-on-year in October, down from 3.2% in September. German manufacturing PMI came in at 43.2 in November versus 43 in October, while services PMI came in at 49.4 versus 51.6 a month ago. France manufacturing PMI came in at 43.2 in November versus 44.5 in October, while services PMI came in at 45.7 versus 49.2 a month ago. Now, this goes to show that something serious is happening in Germany and France, where these both indicators for manufacturing and services are right now in contraction. So that goes to show that economic activities will continue to decelerate until they are back above 50. UK manufacturing PMI came in at 48.6 in November versus 49.9 in October, while services PMI came in at 50 versus 52 a month ago. And UK is starting to see deceleration. If the services came down below 50, then you know that the entire European continent is actually facing huge challenges in its economic growth. Germany and France look likely to enter into a recession in the coming quarters. Now, the other thing is that why I think inflation will surge again in Europe. Now, the price of natural gas is surging again. Okay, on 16 November, Russia cuts off its gas supply to Austria, but continues to supply gas to other parts of Europe via Ukraine. Natural gas price has surged 16.9% since the announcement. However, Ukraine route will be shut down by the end of the year, providing further impetus for natural gas price to increase further. So we are right now on the cusp of moving up. Now, this could create another inflation wave in Europe, especially if cold weather rains, as Evelyn highlighted. But any surging gas price will be very good for the LNG shipping trade, and it will be back in focus. So if we talk about logistics, so naturally surging gas price will be beneficial for LNG shipping. Now, Germany economy is right now in disarray, with the closure of 3 Volkswagen plants and surge in corporate bankruptcies. Now, this is the insolvency of companies in Germany. So you can see that it is steadily rising up. Okay, so corporate bankruptcies in Germany are still growing by double digits, and preliminary indicator for October comes with another surge. The ensuing layoffs could hurt its economy because it's also hurt consumption. Okay, people who are laid off cannot afford to consume as much as they wanted to. Now, France could see steady increase in the cost of borrowing as bond yields spike. UK could see more people demanding for Starmer's resignation amid a petition for new elections to be held. And UK could enter a funding crisis due to its bloated debt. Back to China, CPI rose 0.3% year-on-year in October, up from unchanged in September. Core CPI rose 0.2% year-on-year in October, up from 0.1% in September. PPI came in at negative 2.9% year-on-year in October, down from negative 2.8% in September. So where the price of materials in concern, because they are the inputs to the manufacturing, they are still facing some deflation. So retail sales climbed 4.8% year-on-year in October, up from 3.2% in September. Industrial production went up 5.3% year-on-year in October, down from 5.4% in September. So services output, okay. This was last month. So fixed asset investment went up 3.4% year-on-year in January to October, unchanged from the period from January to September. China posted a trade surplus of 95.72 billion in October compared to 81.71 billion in September, the equivalent of 12.7% increase. Trade surplus expanded 17.6% year-on-year to 5.58 trillion renminbi, or US 781.2 billion during the January to October period. China's employment rate was 5% in October. So you can see that at the rate that China is going, very likely its trade surplus would hit 1 trillion this year. Now, this is the reason for China's trade surplus. As a percentage of global manufacturing, China accounts for 31.6% of the total. Meanwhile, China's robot density has overtaken Germany and Japan to reach the 3rd position in global ranking. Last year, it was at number 5th position. Now, this could only mean that China's manufacturing will continue to climb just as China's trade with the global south expands. This will be great for Chinese shipping companies. And for those who sign up for the weekly report, under the manufacturing sector, I actually highlighted a number of one particular shipping company in China that is paying a dividend yield, okay, tax-free, of more than 9%. So China's property market displayed positive changes in October with narrowing price declines, stronger sales, and improved market sentiment as the recent wave of pro-housing policies took effect. The decline in the prices of commercial residential homes in China's 70 large and medium-sized cities generally moderated on a month-on-month basis. Now, when China speaks very generally, it means that things are moderating, but generally is still bad, okay? So in the country's first-tier cities, namely Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, new home prices edged down by 0.2%, narrowing from a 0.5% drop in the previous month. So in the first-tier cities, there is signs of rapid gains in the real estate market activities. Okay, some newly launched apartments were completely sold out. Okay, and some real estate activities gained by triple-digit in certain areas in specific province. Prices of second-hand homes in first-tier city rose 0.4% in October, reversing a 1.2% decline in the previous month and marking the first increase in 13 months. Second and third-tier cities registered narrower drops in both new and second-hand home prices in October. So if we want to look at it, generally, real estate in China has been down by around 30 to 40% since 2021, depending on certain areas. So now this is why I think China's economic activity is continuing to thrive. China's electricity consumption rose by 7.6% year-on-year in the first 10 months of 2024. In October alone, power usage climbed 4.3% year-on-year. During the January-October period, power consumption of China's primary industry increased by 6.7% year-on-year. Now, if we look against the GDP, China only reports a GDP of, I think currently is slightly less than 5%, 4.8 or 4.9%. Okay, power consumption of its secondary and tertiary sectors rose 5.6% and 11% respectively. Residential power usage saw a growth of 12.3% during this period. Now, power consumption is essential to the economy, but China reports its GDP in a very different manner. For those who are new, I've often said that China's record actual products, okay, in its GDP. So that means manufacturing, anything that generates a good or a product, okay, and among F&B, among the services, the F&B is included because the production of F&B is beverage and food, okay, although it's a services economy, but it produces products. But things like medical fees, insurance fees, any services fees are not included in the GDP. Now, unlike in the US and some other parts of the world, because of their shrinkage of manufacturing, the concentration of GDP begins to focus on services. So that is the contrast. Now, if China were to include its services as in tandem with the kind of electricity consumption, China's growth could be actually much higher. And that is why recently the World Bank and IMF have reported that China actually understates its GDP. Now, what could happen in December with the PBOC and government's policies in place? The stimulus will gradually work its way into the economy. Therefore, we can expect gradual increases in the economic indicators. Retail sales could surprise on the upside as the Double 11 event resulted in a new record high sales of 1.44 trillion, a 26.6% increase from 2023. China trade surplus could gather momentum due to expansion of trade with the global south. Real estate will see slower declines and some cities could even experience gains. The Chinese government will be more assertive in its foreign policy, especially towards adversaries. Meanwhile, China will prepare new plans in the coming trade war with Trump admin. In this regard, China could expand the restrictive trade of key minerals and materials needed by the semiconductor industry and the US military-industrial complex. Now, China has already restricted the export of gallium and germanium, which are actually much needed both in the semiconductor industry and in the military industry complex because of their use for infrared optics and such. And China recently restricted the export of antimony, which is actually needed for the making of artillery shells, ammunition, and such. So China could actually extend to other rare earth minerals or even graphite, because China controls a lot of the mineral resources and its processing in the global market, some up to about 90% share of the global market. So geopolitics, a desperate NATO could result in an expensive war in Europe as Russia delivers its warnings and make preparations for its nuclear force. Now, Russia has suspended shipment of enriched uranium to unfriendly countries. France has lost its source of uranium from African states, while the US has yet to build up its production capacity. So US production capacity is still very, very low, okay, and much rely on Canada, such as those that operate in the Athabasca Basin. This will actually cause a surge in the demand, okay, of uranium from Canada, Australia, and the US. And in the Telegram channel, I've shared some of the companies that are developing the uranium production capacity in the US, as well as those companies that will benefit from the increase of demand of uranium from Western-friendly countries. So we are seeing two spheres, okay, of uranium demand. Okay, Russia say it will ship to India, Central Asia, and China, and not to anywhere else. And Africa have actually requested Russia to help them develop the uranium market. So the source from Africa to the West will be limited. So on top of that, okay, for those who are new to uranium, there are 450 plus uranium reactors, whether in the current construction stage, proposed or planned, that will be churning out between now to 2050. Okay, and between now to 2035, China will add close to about 120 nuclear reactors. China will be adding about 10 to 13 nuclear reactors per year okay? While all these are happening, the uranium supply deficit have actually started in 2022. And the widening and the gap between supply and demand will continue to widen. And that is why the environment this environment will be very good for the uranium sector, okay? And the Middle East crisis will likely not end soon as the scope of war expands outwards, with Syria now in the crosshairs. Central banks continue to buy gold. In October, emerging market central banks continue to lead gold accumulation, accounting for 70% of total net purchases, according to the World Gold Council. China and India remain the biggest buyers of silver. China is reported to be buying silver doré bars directly from the mines. So China right now wants to undercut the LBMA, saying that we will buy directly from the mines and we will refine it ourselves. Okay, because China's huge appetite for silver goes all the way in its solar, EVs, wind energy, as well as in its military. Now, before closing my session here, I want to share with you the significance of China's issuance of $2 billion US denominated bond. And credit must be given to Arnold Bertrand, okay, who actually analyzed the whole thing. Now, specifically, it means that the issuance was conducted in Saudi Arabia and was 20 times oversubscribed. Typically, US Treasury auctions see oversubscription rate of 2 times to 3 times. So that means that there is an immense appetite for China's US denominated bond. Why? Probably because China has a trade surplus of 1 trillion US dollars, meaning that investors need not fear that China will not pay the principal. Whereas in the US, the debt level has been escalating. Therefore, there is a fear that the value of the bond could drop, okay? And the interest rate spread was remarkably close to US Treasury rates, just 1 to 3 BPS higher, which means that China is now able to borrow US dollars virtually the same rate as the US government. And in comparison, US Treasuries are rated AAA, but if China issue a US dollar denominated bond, the rating is just A1. But at A1, it can match the US AAA rating in terms of the yield. Now that goes to show that there is an immense support for China's US dollar denominated bond. But by issuing US dollar denominated bonds in Saudi Arabia that compete directly with US treasuries and getting almost the same interest rate, China is demonstrating it can operate as an alternative manager of US dollar liquidity right in the heart of the petrodollar system. So Saudi Arabia, which sells oil in US dollar, previously used to buy US treasuries. So Saudi Arabia can claim that we are not abandoning the US dollar because we are recycling into another US dollar bond. Okay, so that could have wide implications. It could mean that Saudi Arabia US dollar will not, previously is 100% flowing to US treasuries. Right now, Saudi Arabia has a choice that some portion will flow to Chinese bonds. Now, this means that China could effectively be competing with the US in the global US dollar market. Instead of countries like Saudi Arabia automatically recycling their dollars into US Treasury bonds, they could put them in Chinese US dollar bonds that pay the same rate. Now, the other thing is that when China competes with the US by dollar, China is also telling the US government that we can manage US dollar market. Okay, so there'll be money that meant for US treasuries right now can go to Chinese dollar bonds. And that means that the US yield, treasury yields have to rise, okay, to be attractive so that investors will move from Chinese bonds to the US dollar bonds. But in so doing, the US will have to pay a much higher interest payment on debt. And we know that US debt will continue to escalate. So that could put the US in a bind, okay? Because right now someone is challenging their US dollar liquidity control. Now, this could create a parallel US dollar system where China, not the US, controls part of the flow of the US dollar. China could issue more US dollar bonds because it has a 1 trillion surplus. Right now, it's just 2 billion. Imagine China, increasing it to 500 billion. If China can increase it to 500 billion, then the US would really have some serious problems, because when it auctions its bonds, there'll be less takers, okay? Because people know the US will never be able to pay its principal in full, and because of its escalating debt, the yield will continue to climb. And because yield is inverse to the value of the bond, the higher the yield means the value of the bond decreases. That means that holding long-term US dollar bond could be negative yield over the long term. And I think the US Treasury acknowledged this since a year or two ago, because right now the US Treasury is refinancing its bonds, long-term bonds, with short-term bills. Okay, so they keep on generating short-term bills to refinance. But that means short-term bills often carry a much higher interest rate, because investors know that at even 4% yield, if they hold it for 30 years, it will be negative yield over that specific period of time. Now, China could use the US dollar to help Belt and Road countries pay off the US dollar debt to Western lenders. Okay, so China say, okay, I issue US dollar bond. Okay, you get the US dollar. Sorry, I get the US dollar, but right now I'm going to give you the US dollar. You will actually use the US dollar to pay off the debt. Okay, so China is recycling the US dollar. Issue bond, get US dollar, give it to the countries to pay off their debt, and in exchange for helping these countries clear their US dollar debt, China could arrange them to be repaid in renminbi or in strategic resources or through other bilateral agreements. So China say, okay, now I've given you this US dollar, I need this amount shipment of minerals over a period of how long a time, or you get me to be that US dollar that I pay you will be part of an investment into your resources industry so that we can extract them, or you can pay me back in renminbi so that it maintains a certain balance of value in the renminbi. Because if China keeps on issuing US dollars, okay, the demand for US dollar is high, demand for Chinese US dollar is high, then the renminbi could actually falter in value. But if they reversed it and says that you can actually pay us back in renminbi, that helps to balance up the discrepancy. So all the US dollar issue will eventually make their way back to the US, sparking higher inflation. Now, this could be a warning shot fired across the bow at the US for threatening tariffs on China. So back to you, Evelyn.
Yeah, let me just share my screen. Okay. Yes. Okay, so can see my screen now? Let me just, yeah. So actually, as we have announced last month, We have already issued or published the book that we have written, I think, since August this year on 2025, Astrology and Global Trends Forecast book. So it is quite an exciting book, especially I say that the energy in 2025 is quite volatile. So you can get the book or you can download a free chapter. Maybe PC, you can drop the free chapter, this one link. It's actually all in one. You can download the free chapter link in
Okay,
the
hold on, yeah.
yeah.
I need to go to the mail.
Yeah, it's in the Google Drive. It's just documents, and then inside got a few links. So the free chapter is here for those who are interested. You want to get the book free, you can also join us as a member, okay, as a starter pack at 149 ringgit per year. You can get early access to our monthly forecast, like today we're having early, instead of waiting 2 weeks later in the YouTube channel. And then you can get the presentation slides, and you're invited to our 2025 Astrology and Global Trends talk. I think last year we also, we have been doing the talks for a few years, and sometimes we do give some recommendation or some studies on some of the stocks itself, what to invest. And then you can also go to comprehensive. It is 209, and if you bring a friend, then we will give you 179 per year. So you will get all this, and plus to be in our Telegram group for discussion, and then the book 2025 forecast and the monthly investors manifestation direction, that what our current member is getting. What you need to pay is actually 159, and then you can buy the book from our appointed bookstore publisher at 50 ringgit. And then you show the receipts, then we will rebate the 50 ringgit through the membership. Or the premium membership, that you can get all these things as the comprehensive members, and then weekly market insights report that we will give you. The weekly, or actually I give it as monthly, for the whole month, 3 victory pillars of Qi direction. I will teach you how to use it as well, and the daily Qi deity direction for manifestation as well. So it's actually at 329. If you bring a friend, we give you a rebate of 299, you and your friend. So it is actually 279 plus by 50 ringgit. Once again, you buy the book and we will discount for you. And for those that join 2025 members, irrespective old and new, because I saw some of the, the list of high dividend yield share that we have shared. BC has updated 1 or new 2 counters as well. 1 or 2 new stocks as well. So it will be also a welcome gift to you all, that you can check out on this 2025. Okay, and okay, so this is what the member says about us, that what they have joined and how they have benefited, and actually we are really much ahead of time. Some of members feedback to me that no, we are 1 or 2 years ahead of time. Yeah, compared to this one, because last time we already told people to buy gold 2 years ago, and we told people to buy. I told people to buy crypto 2 years ago. I released the YouTube channel, and today crypto has never been, Bitcoin has been, almost at 100,000 US dollars. That time the highest is only 200K. Okay, so okay, sorry, you missed the
20K.
Yes. Yeah.
Not 220K.
Yeah. That's right. And it will go to the lowest as well. So, but there will be another cycle. Just join us. You will know roughly the cycle where they are. Yeah. Okay. So we not only talk about stocks, we talk about commodities, we talk about Bitcoins, whatever that, the potential investment vehicles that could, chances higher, that could make money. Yeah. Okay. So this is the closest that you get to time the market. But we time it on trend. We don't time it on tradings. Okay. Because we are not traders. Okay, but some traders still use our information to a certain extent. So the link that PC has given the link.
Yes.
Yeah, the link inside you will get this. The link inside actually brings you to a document. you will get, this free chapter of the book. If you want to buy the book, the link is here. You want to enroll in the membership, the link is also here already. Everything. If you want further inquiries, you can also WhatsApp or you can also email. So, and this is the step-by-step how you become a member. First of all, you buy the, you pay the membership fees, you buy the book, and then after that, and after that you enroll. Okay, because the Google Forms is meant for you to attach the membership payment, the thank you payment, and also the book receipt as well. And then we will give you a confirmation email once everything is confirmed. So this is really no frills. We don't do fanciful landing page, because if we do fanciful landing page, all these courses will roll back to the members eventually. If you see people with very fanciful, things and all these things. So our member has been, very, it has been, very supportive to us. Although we have nothing fancy, we just give good information. The most important thing is just you want the information to profit, that's all. Okay, if we do a lot of frills in it, then we will be, charging you for the frills as well. So it's everything, no frills, whatever that, that I can think of that will be no frills, then I will give it. That's why because for investment, you go and check. For normal market rate now, for people that follow Investor Guru, at the least is about 1,000 plus ringgit membership per year. 1,000 plus, okay, so we really keep it very reasonable, and some more for the book as well. And our things are all is very accurate. Okay, it's almost like it's almost like 80% accuracy already. It's proven over the years. Okay, so time is the best teacher, or is the best evidence already. So these are the forms that you can get. And also this is the market insights that we have, like PC will issue, I think it's about 7 to 8 pages of report weekly. Okay, this is what he will give the market insights of China, US, and also, what it looks like, and some of the precious metal performances as well for those who are interested. Okay, so these are some of the things that that we have, and also we also have, I do it monthly for this one, but it's the month's Chiman direction of 3 Victory Palace. And if you join as a membership, I will teach you how to use the Chiman 3 Victory Palace aligned to your Destiny Palace. In fact, some of our members already got their own this one how to use all these 3 Victory Palace to align and also to action to make investment as well, which I personally also have used it. So it's like, for the whole month, for the month itself, I will tell you, and it's not easy to come up with these 3 Victory Palace that I have until the hour. Okay, so, it takes a lot of time. Those that know Chiman one, they can. I'm not saying no, not true. Those that know Chiman one, they know that it's not easy to do that. Okay, so this is what the work I have done. Okay, and I have personally used it. And also the daily direction I will give you for the whole month, that what are the daily direction and how to use them as well. So later on for the premium membership, I will tell them that how to use all this. I will have session for them as well, how to use this and do this one. So these are all meant for those that are in premium. Okay, so these are my live energy analysis. I think it's also in the Telegram channel. So those that are interested, I still keep it at the price of $4.99. I'm going to have the astrology and astrology talk for 2025 very soon. So this price will also change. Okay, yeah. So yeah, this summary is that we will say that the cold and wet condition will dominate. Okay, there were high risk of water-related disasters and also potential earthquakes. And there are more market volatility, especially with cryptocurrencies. Okay, so yeah, good time for cryptos. But cryptos also have to watch out. A lot of people, it caused a lot of downfall to a lot of people when they were speculating on cryptos. If they are not speculating, they're invested and they're patient enough, today they'll make a big part already. Isn't it true? You got to check. A lot of people that speculated mine the crypto and they got a lot of trouble in it. It's not meant for this type of this one. Crypto is meant for patience investing and also timing. Okay, and you have the advantage if you join us as a member, at least we can roughly time the crypto. Okay, I'm using the 5 elements. It's not very difficult. It's one of the easiest, in fact. Okay, and also AI. We talk about AI breakthrough and also wide adoption of AI agents, and this will also cause a lot of job displacement as well. Okay, over to you, BC.
Yeah, since Evelyn brought up the subject of crypto, especially Bitcoin. Some people actually think that by investing in Bitcoin mining companies would be another exposure to the Bitcoin market. But I need to caution you in that a lot of these Bitcoin mining companies, they are actually diluting their shareholder base, because the electricity cost, because they are located in the US, and US electricity cost is not cheap. And because of that, they continue to, as long as they continue to mine Bitcoin, they will actually consume electricity. And with electricity costs being what they are, a lot of them are not selling the Bitcoins that they mine, because they believe that there is a much future higher value. But all the while paying off the electricity, they are actually diluting the shareholder base. So that, like, for example, and incurring debt, for example, their debt currently, is more than the total holding of their Bitcoin assets. So when that becomes too high, they started to dilute, okay, then it is destroying shareholders' value. So the other thing is that sometimes people would think that buying Bitcoin would be through an ETF. Now, having seen that a lot of the ETFs are owned by the biggest funds like Vanguard, BlackRock, and such, I would caution you as buying them. Mainly because just like what BlackRock, Vanguard did with the gold and silver market, they actually use the ETF because they also come with options. So they use the options to flood the market with, let's say, put options, then the price of Bitcoin would fall. And when it falls, then they will gobble up because they have the capacity too. So that is why if you want to actually own Bitcoin, don't use the investment vehicles like ETF or the miners. Okay, own it as you own it in a wallet.
Yeah,
okay?
That's right. Yeah, buy it through Luno and all this. Those that do not have a Luno account, want to open one, want to invest, come and see me. I have good things for you all also, because if you sign up through my affiliate, then you can get 75 ringgit in return for Bitcoin. Because I've been their consistent members, consistently invest, they reward me, and even my affiliate links also get more than other people. Okay.
Yeah, so you need to be a bit cautious on that, okay, especially ETFs and the miners, Bitcoin miners. So anyway, back to our summary. Now, I think a lot hinges on who. Sorry, not this one, Evelyn. I think I sent the. I think I share my slide, okay, because
you
this
send
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing about electricity, besides Bitcoin using a lot of electricity, even before the Bitcoin can goes up to what they expected, some of them could have already have this one financial problem, and also AI is also using a lot of electricity as well. So they both competes.
Okay, so my summary, okay. More worries on US debt as Fed's rate cut decision no longer impact on the yields. Now, last month I shared that even though the Fed has cut 50 basis point, 25 basis point, the yields have continued to go up for US government bonds. Now, the market is just expecting that the US can never roll back its debt, and that's why the yields never fall because even though the Fed cuts its rates. Now, the only way that the Fed can control the overall yield, okay, so that it doesn't impact or lower the US borrowing cost would be to do QE. And I believe at some point in time, maybe next year or the year after next, the QE would be very massive. Now, for those who have read my weekly report, I have stated both the unrealized losses of US banks and also the securities losses of in mortgages due to the CRE crisis. Together, they are in the rate by close to $1.3 trillion. So if the Fed will have to bail out the CRE like it did during the 2008 global financial crisis and the bank's unrealized losses, that 1.3 trillion would come from QE. And the way to save the US government debt from escalating even higher would be to control the yields, and that could only be done by QE. So even though indications are that the US dollar has risen a bit, okay, there is a huge chance that sometime in the future it will all come crashing down, because there is no other option for the US as government to control its interest payment on debt except through the Fed by lowering the yields. But Trump has surrounded himself with two persons, okay? One is the Treasury Secretary who has been announced. I think his name is Bassett, who is actually a gold investor. Now, the other potential Fed that will join the FOMC will be Judy Shelton. Now, Judy Shelton is one that advocates a gold bond because they know that the US debt cannot be brought down. Okay, one of the key ways is to issue a gold bond because it will solve a lot of problems. As long as the US print money, okay, the US dollar would drop, but the price of gold would go up. So the US need to buy gold at its current price, that even though it keeps on printing money, the price of gold will keep going up, but the amount of physical gold redeemed upon the maturity of the bond will be much lesser. So they are trying to look at this. Now, if let's say Judy Shelton and Bassett together will implement this, then I think there will be a gold revaluation. And that gold revaluation is certainly going to be quite high. Now, in the Telegram channel, I posted my recent session with Macquarie on the Golden Renaissance. So I again highlight how all this could play out. If let's say the gold revaluation hits, then I think it will be good for anyone who holds the physical, okay, or anyone who have gold savings in reputed banks, okay. So but then Trump also say that he will be very pro crypto, which is why the cryptocurrencies are all moving higher. So I believe that he will use a combination of Bitcoin pumping, yeah, to use it to offset some of the US debt. But I think that itself is a challenge, because if the price of Bitcoin need to escalate very high so that US can pay off its debt, that means the US dollar will be very weak. If let's say US dollar is very weak, then commodities, gold and silver will actually shoot upwards. So I think there is some lack of coherence, okay, between Trump's intention of using Bitcoin as well as the people that he selects which are actually pro-gold. So I think it will be very interesting. Okay. So a cold winter could create another inflationary wave in Europe, and China's economic clout will continue to grow because there is simply no country can replicate China's type of first-in-class manufacturing capacity as well as infrastructure. A lot of people talk about India